Hey everyone, this is Eric Silvermoon. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about self-care. I know some of you have reached out to me and wanted me to do a little bit more discussions or possibly even just like a video about self-care and kind of sharing my tips. And like I said, I only want to share things that I have tried in my own practice and that work for me. And so even though when we talk about self-care, these are the things that worked for me. I always say the same thing, please practice discernment to make sure that you're not taking my truths as your truths until you question them, try them out, and see how you feel about them. So um, let me take a sip of coffee. You know me, my superhero stuff. I love it. Nerd alert. Okay. But before I start talking about self-care, I want to show you this candle. I found it at this little grocery store that I absolutely love going. It has a prayer in the back. It says in Spanish, but it says prayer for the, I guess it's supposed to be for the angel of death in the sense, or the grim reaper. Um, And so it's pretty cool. I'm thinking of having this candle as my working candle when I do anything shadow work. Excuse me. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I love it. I don't know if you can see it, but back there I have my Virgin Mary candle that I haven't used in a while, but I used to like burning that. That was my temporary working candle until I created one. It's like my temporary one. So I'll go back to that one when my actual working candle. I have a video that I created uh, that kind of showed how I made one. Once that kind of burns down, then during the process I'll just go back and forth with it. But yeah, so I wanted to share with you my top 5 tips, I guess, on self-care. And one of the things that one of the main questions, I guess, there's 2 questions that I wanted to ask, and it's important for you to ask yourselves. And so this is stuff that I've asked myself, that I've journaled and went through all that whole thing. And so one of the questions, and I apologize, 'cause I'm going to go back and forth on my notes. I love, like last night, I was sitting in bed with Eric and we're about to go to sleep, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I gotta go get my notebook. I have to download all this stuff. I'm getting so much stuff. And I just sat down and wrote it all out. And then at the end of, after I wrote everything out, I was like, okay, I feel really guided to create an ebook, a free ebook about this. And so I'm gonna briefly go through all of my bullet points, and then hopefully on my ebook that I'll release hopefully next month, I'll go ahead and go into more detail, and I'll have that available for download in my shop. So um, we'll see how it goes. If it becomes a lot of time, like if it takes a lot of time, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a free ebook because I already have one on connecting to your spiritual tribe, or if I want to offer this as something to purchase. So I'll kind of figure that out. Um, one of the questions that I ask myself, which you can ask yourself, is, do you want to have a beautiful life? That is a hands down very important question to answer. Do you want to have a beautiful life? The second is, are you willing to do everything and anything to obtain it? And so that's another very important one. Most of the time, you know, we buy all the tools, all the affirmational stuff, all these books, and all these workbooks and stuff like that. But then when we do it, we have everything. We spend all this money, and I say spent instead of invested, because if you invest your money into something that you're going to put to use, then it's a good investment. If you just spent your money in something and didn't use it, then you spent it, if that makes sense. So it's really important to use the tools. I mean, they're there for a reason. They help you in your development, but you have to want to work and do the work to be able to get the results. I'm not a witch that relies only on magic. Magic for me is a very powerful tool and helper to manifest my desires, but I have to do the work myself. I cannot trust everything on my spiritual tribe. They'll give me the opportunities, and it's my it's my responsibility to show up for them, and it's my choice to do the work and to do all that to get the blessings and the messages, stuff like that. So once you kind of answer those two, um, they are 5 steps that I do that helped me a lot in creating the beautiful life that I have now. I feel like I am so blessed, and it wasn't like this. I mean, most of you know my backstory, but I love my life. I will never say anything negative about my life. I strive every day to be really, really humbled and the blessings that I have, and so I'll go through them so we could kind of like hopefully chat about them in the comments or on Facebook. So step one is makiru. Makiru is a saying. It's almost like even like, maybe like a lifestyle, a practice that I learned from taking the year and the day with Flora Sage Peterson. It comes from the book by Marianne Williams. I think it's Marianne Williamson. Yeah, I think. Let me grab it real quick. So it comes from this book. Can you see it? Focus, focus. Positive Magic by Marian Weinstein. And so this book talks about Makeru, and pretty much what it is in a nutshell is the practice of monitoring and um, witnessing how negative you are and then doing something about it. So the things that I have is number one on Makiru is train yourself to catch all of your negative thoughts, witness and track how often they occur. So if you have something where you don't have to write down what it is, just tally mark. Do like a tally mark. And so have like a piece of paper that you'll just kind of, write down your notes, even if it's a post-it. And during the day, just monitor it. So you're like, okay, well, I said something negative about myself or someone else. Okay, I caught myself, so I'll tally mark it. And at the end of the day, just kind of count how many times during the day that you were really negative. And if you want to go even deeper, write down what you actually said or what you thought. Um, it's mind blowing with the year and the day thing. Um, I I was so shocked on how negative I was, mostly about myself and my outlook on life, but how quick I was to judge somebody, and how it just helped me realize how insecure and how afraid I was to be vulnerable and for have people to see me for who I am. And so I was just putting off this negative shield that deflected people because no one wanted to be kind of my friend at that point besides the people that are in that toxic behavior. And so it was a really bad cycle that I'm really glad I got out of it. Um, we're still human. It comes up, but like I mentioned before, it doesn't matter how many times you find yourself outside of that divine light. What matters is how quickly you come back into it. So, um, excuse me. So number two for Makaru was create your power word to stop the negative thought and tell the universe that you didn't mean it. So the way that happens in the whole thing about Makiru is that you want to pick a word to cancel that. So for me, I use cancel. Um, as soon as I say something negative, or let's just say like I had a really long day and I'm just saying, you know what, my back is killing me. My back is freaking killing me right now. I'd be like, okay, no, 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 I don't want that to happen. I don't want my actual back to cause something where I get a situation where it actually causes me to death. So I'll be like, cancel, cancel, cancel. I didn't mean none of that. And then just kind of tell the universe, like, I didn't mean that. I don't want that to manifest. Um, Same thing with people use the FMLL, like fuck my life. I mean, I think that is, for me, absolutely terrible. And that's my personal views. I would never say that about my life, even in being sarcastic or joking. Especially if you post something like that. I mean, that's on there. I mean, it even gives me chills to even think about that. But that's stuff that I like to cancel. It's like cancel, cancel, cancel. If I see that, even with my coworkers, if they see something negative, I'm like, cancel, cancel. You don't want that happening. I do that on people's posts too. When I see it, I'm like, cancel, cancel. Please do not let that manifest for this person. I love them so much. And so that's important. You could even do like erase and rewind, or just kidding, whatever you feel comfortable and kind of reversing that if you will. It's really cool. So you can use mine, which is I always say things in three. So cancel, cancel, cancel. And I kind of just like do that. Sometimes I kind of just shake my hands and like, okay, 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 let's refocus into the positive groove of things. So that's step one with Makiru. It's really witnessing your your thought patterns and how negative they are and how you see yourself and how you think about things and witnessing how often that happens. If it happens once in a while when it's okay, you just cancel it. If it happens every day when it is like maybe half of the time during your day you're constantly thinking or posting something negative, it's you have to really do a life edit and figure out, okay, these are things that an unhappy person would do. Am I unhappy? And be honest, be brutally honest with yourself about these kind of things, because it's not being mean to yourself. It is very self-caring, and so it's very important to witness these things and to create that word to cancel off, because you don't want that stuff to manifest. And so my step two would be define what happiness and success means to you. So that's really important. So most people feel like, okay, if I'm happy, then I have a lot of material things and I'm very wealthy, I have a lot of money. Same thing with success. Success means that I can afford my own house and buy all kinds of things, do whatever I want, take as many trips as I want. That's success. So if that is success, then make sure that you define it and that it feels right to you. My personal um, definition for happiness is in correlation. It it's the same thing as health. And so if I'm healthy and I love myself, that's happy. That's my end result. I don't care where I'm at, where I live. All I want to do is I want to be healthy. I want to feel. Um, I just want to be happy in that sense. I want to feel healthy in my body, inside and out. I want to be surrounded by people that promote that positive energy. I'm a very hippie person, so that's the kind of thing I want. I want to be connected to nature. I want to do that stuff. So that's what happiness means to me. It's a peace. It's a beauty of awareness. And so it's really important to define that. And for success, for me, has nothing to do with money. Success to me is the community. I want to be in a community that that really, really, really encourages me and supports me, and having that that net of awesome people in my earthly tribe, if you will. The same thing with success is that whatever I did to be of service, and that's my legacy, that I always went out of my way to always help someone that needed help, to answer someone's questions when they asked, and to be honest if I didn't know, but recommend someone else to go. I mean, stuff like that. As long as I'm a decent human being and I have no regrets and that aspect, that's success for me. So be very, very clear and specific on what those are for you. And so number one in creating that is write down how you want to feel in your life. How do you want happiness and success to come into your life? And so that's really important. So once you define those, you kind of have to figure out how do you want to feel, and you want to find out how do you want those feelings and how you want happiness and success to kind of come in and manifest in your life. And so that kind of helps it. But you won't be able to answer those questions until you define what those words mean to you. Number two for that is remember that this story can and will change the more you work on them and creating your happy life and manifesting. So in the beginning, when I realized my my happiness and success story, it was very materialistic. I want a big house. I want to be married. I want to have I think I want to have a nice car. I want to have a really successful spiritual business that brings in a lot of money and all that sort of stuff. It was very materialistic, and material items don't last. And so that for me, after I started doing more developing my spirituality, I realized that I was taking things out and replacing them with things that weren't necessarily tangible, but they're a little bit more internal. And then my story, my happiness and success story, completely changed into something that it is long lasting. And so it's really interesting how that happens. And so it always it always changes. And so it's okay that 6 months, 3 months, even a month down the line you rewrite it. But if you do that, it's actually time for celebration because you're constantly changing as you witness things that no longer resonate with you. So your stories will always change, but hopefully they change for the better, for your highest good. So step 3 would be practice manifestation. So number 1 on that means start small. So start really, really small. Many books that I've read always gave you like these little homeworks of really small things to do. Like, I mean, this is probably a bad example because there's a lot of this thing that I'm about to mention, but let's just say rainbows. So let's just say that you just trying to test it. You just say, spiritual tribe, I really want to work on my manifestation. I want to see a rainbow today. I want to, and be specific about it. So I want to see a rainbow, and I want it to have these really pretty glittery colors with some really full clouds. I want to see that today. Let's manifest that. Let's see. Let's just test this out. And when you usually say like, let's just test this out, let's just try it, you're taking ego out of it, and you're just putting the scientific alchemist person in charge at that point, because you just want to test the theory, you just want to see what happens, and kind of forget about it. Because if you constantly looking everywhere, where's my rainbow, and getting all crazy about it, then you block yourself, because that rainbow probably would appear, but you're so focused on one area, you're constantly looking. Just put it out of your mind and see how it manifests. And so those are really good. Small little things, like you say, I want to see a monarch butterfly, or I want to see a red balloon. Very, very small things. The second thing I would recommend is practice visualization. And make sure that you put yourself in the visualization. So, for example, if I said, I really want to get a new car. I want to get I already have a white Kia Soul, but let's say I want a red Kia Soul, and that's just me being greedy. But let's say I want a red Kia Soul. I really do. And let's say you don't put yourself in a visualization, so you're just thinking red Kia Soul, I want that. Well, most likely then there's a possibility that your neighbor gets the red Kia Soul, and so technically your manifestation came true, but you weren't very specific about it. Or the neighbor down the street gets one, and so you constantly see it because it's on your way to your home or work or something. So you want to put yourself in the visualization. You want to put yourself inside the car, going to the dealership, getting the car, being excited, driving it, test driving it, and signing off the paperwork and bringing it home. I mean, you really want to picture the whole process and you being very excited, and then notice how that feels. Notice if you feel really excited or happy, or if you feel anxiety because it's another car payment. So that will kind of help you with the visualization part of it when it comes to manifestations. You want to be very, very clear. And so one of my tips for that worked for me is that I write down what I want, so I could kind of see it, and I'm like, okay, I feel good about this. I want exactly this, and so I'll repeat it, and that's how I do it, so that there's no miscommunication. This is how I want this to come to me, and I'm very clear and specific. Number 3 is create a vision board when it comes to manifestation. Vision boards are really great if you're just like me, when you have to have that kind of daily visual, what's that word I want to use? Just reminder that you are working through it. This is my vision. This is the things that I like. This is the feelings that I want. This is how I want to feel. I mean, those are really important. Visual boards are super, super powerful to promote that feeling of reminding yourself, like that's right, I do want that stuff. So let's aim today to do that. Number 4 is physically do things that are helping you towards your goals. So that is something like creating vision boards. So if you are physically working on your manifestations, as in terms of journaling, getting books to help you in that area that you want to manifest, or looking into ways to change your budget so you can afford a car that you want, and looking for that, those are physical things that you could do in the now that are going to help that manifest a lot quicker, because the energy you're putting in there is that this is what I want, and I'm doing what I can to get it. And then just practice divine timing. It might take you a year, it might take you 2 years to get what you want, but I mean, you get what you want in that sense. Sometimes it happens very quick for people, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on when the timing is right for you. But physically doing and physically having those goals is very important when doing manifestation work. Step 4 will be take personal responsibility. I I'm a huge advocate for taking personal responsibility for the energy that you bring and put out. So one of the things that I put down was understand that where you are in life right now is because of you. So this is a really hard concept, excuse me, for a lot of people to understand. And I might get some like whatever messages from it, but this is just how I feel. I have to take personal responsibility for the things that happened to me in my life and where I'm at now. you know Being bullied and being pushed and all this stuff, and being made fun of as a kid, I manifested that stuff. I chose to have it allow it to interfere how I feel, my decision making. I don't have any regrets in those because I feel like it helped me develop to who I am right now. I'm trying to figure out where that light's coming from. I think it's coming from this one. Oh, well, I'll just leave it. But for me, it was really important for me to realize that everything that has happened to me and is happening to this point is my choice. I chose these things. I chose these experiences. So that is something that most people won't understand, especially if there's the shittiest stuff like sickness, death, stuff like that. People will be like, why the hell did I manifest this? Those are things that you kind of want to break down and figure out why would someone manifest this? What is your role in that situation? What was the experience and the lessons learned that you had to go through in order for you to get where you are? So it's a case by case situation. You have to really see your situation and figure out, okay, what was my role in this? How did I manifest this? And take personal responsibility. Number 2 would be you have the choice to allow something to affect you or choose to feel something else. So I practice this in a daily basis. I deal with a lot of very happy residents and then and unhappy residents, very angry coworkers and then very happy coworkers, and people that just say really terrible things, to internet trolls, stuff like that. You have to choose. You have the choice. Do I want to give this person my power and allow them to ruin my day? No, I'm going to choose to be happy because I'm confident in who I am, and I know that I'm always putting out positive energy, and I'm going to choose to continue doing that. So I'm not going to let the behaviors of others ruin my inner peace or disturb my inner peace. And so you have choices. So once you realize that you do have a choice on how life affects you and how you react to it, it is mind blowing. It is eye opening. It is the biggest experiences ever, to witness something and figure out how you want to feel about that. And so number 3 would be do not feed the fear. I wrote, do not comment or interact in others' negativity. Do not feed into it. So this is a perfect example when people post something really, really terrible, either about themselves or about someone else, or is constantly uh, sharing or resharing negative posts about whatever politics or stuff that's terribly happening. I avoid that. I don't like or comment on that because I'm not going to make that a part of my reality. It's not being Pollyanna. I'm not saying that shit isn't happening around the world, but it doesn't have to happen in my world. And I don't tolerate that kind of stuff. And the moment I did that, it no longer affects me. I have a beautiful life. I have a beautiful family. I love where I'm at. And as long as I'm doing my part to not be that, asshole or douche or that terrible person, I feel like I'm contributing to the world in that way by being respectful and by honoring myself and others and being compassionate and kind. That's how I do my part to make sure that I don't do anything else like that. So those are really important lessons to learn. Number 4 for that would be do not engage in toxic behaviors. I don't tolerate gossip. I don't. as a leader myself and people development at work, I don't tolerate gossip at all. I don't tolerate any toxic behaviors. When someone says negative about them, something negative about themselves, I call them out. I call them out and I ask a following question. Let's say if someone says like, "Oh, I ate so much, I'm fat. I can't believe I did that." I'm like, "Cancel, cancel, cancel. You're not fat. You're beautiful. I need to hear something positive about yourself." And they'll be like, "Oh my God, you're so weird." I was like, "No, tell me something that you love about yourself." And then they'll say it, and then the mood changes, and then we're back to focusing on what we need to do. And so I think that for me is stuff that I love. I love doing that, and for me to be able to not engage in that and not encourage that is really helpful for me, and I know that it's helpful for others. Number five would be don't be afraid to call yourself out and apologize for being toxic. In the relationship that I have with Eric, I mean, July 13th will be our 10-year anniversary, and we're hoping that we will get married on that day so that I don't have to keep remembering different dates because I'm terrible at dates. Um, but that took a lot of work and it took a lot of ownership of me, either because I'm very temperamental, and very passionate, and sometimes it always comes, that heat always comes sometimes from a negative place, so I have to kind of figure that out. Or sometimes it comes out very creative and very personal stuff. But Eric and I, we're two Leos. We bump heads sometimes, but we will both kind of step back. And recently I came into work and I let work come into my home, and it caused me to be very short and disengaged with Eric. And I said, you know what, I hold on, I am so sorry. I was not paying attention to what you were saying. I was very distracted. I'm sorry. Give me a moment. Let me kind of cleanse the inner area. Let me let go of stuff so that I can be fully present. I apologize for that. Or if I'm very short, or if I cut him off, or I was rude, I just say, oh my God, I was really rude to you right now. I'm so sorry. Um, I apologize. Let me redo this again. And I think that speaks volumes for the individual, if you're able to do that, because people will be like, "You are an asshole right now." It's like, I know. I don't know why. I don't know why I said the shittiest thing right now. I'm so sorry. Um, Realize that that happens. It's okay that it happens. We're humans. It's gonna happen. But I think it's important for someone to witness that quick shift. It was like, oh my God, that was a terrible thing to say. I can't. Why did I say that? I apologize. I'm so sorry. I'll take it back. Um, it's just one of those things it's authentic, and it feels natural for someone to have a not the best moment about themselves or for themselves, but be able to be like, okay, let's just bring it back. I didn't. That was just a terrible thing to say, or I can't believe I allowed that to happen. So that's really important to be able to do that. So step five, I wrote, practice self-care. Um, I think that's the most, that if I would say something instead of me being like, oh, I practice, witchcraft or this, I was like, no, I practice self-care in whatever form that is that works for me. I'm very loving, kind, and compassionate, and it just so happens that I'm a witch, and I work with the elements of the natural elements that are provided to me in this earth, and so it's all about self-care. So I wrote down one of my favorite sayings from, to backtrack, I'm a huge fan of RuPaul and yeah, RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm a huge fan. There's something that she says at the end of every elimination, or just in general. She says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? And then she says, can I get an amen? But that for me is so true. It's like, how can you love somebody else if you don't love yourself? And so recognizing that is huge. Um, and so number two, I put down work on personal development, leadership, people skills, compassion, kindness. I think everybody should take leadership classes, to understand how people work, and how to interact with people, and how to do that intelligently and mindfully. Because in my industry of property management, you could offend just about anybody and you get sued by just about anybody. So always being mindful of the words that you choose to say, to make sure that they are always pleasant I guess, non-confrontational, or they're going to offend somebody. It's really important. So um, that for me is people development and personal development books that help me just improve who I am, and to improve and to highlight the great qualities that I have as a human being for myself. I want to develop and nurture those, and so I want those to be my strengths. And the areas that aren't my strengths, I want to see if it's something that I need to work on to become a strength. And so that's really important to do. Number three, I put down, do what happy people do. So my happy person, my happy image person is, hold on, I'll tell you. Um, it is seriously a very hippie guy sitting in the middle of the forest with his hands like this, beard covered in beautiful flowers, with the most awesomest dreadlocks ever, just sitting, speaking of love and peace. That's my hippie version. I want to be that person. So having something like that to go back to, and maybe even giving them the name. So let's just say I give him the name of Coyote because I like that name. Let's say Coyote. I was like, that wasn't a very Coyote thing to do or to say. I want to be like Coyote. Um, that, and then there's stuff that I also do too, is I ask myself kind of things throughout the day, is what would someone who is happy do or choose in this situation. The same thing is, what would someone who loves themselves would do in this situation. So for me, that is very helpful when at the grocery, or when I'm going to eat food or something, whatever I'm going to take, even if it's information or wisdom. What would someone that loves themselves do in this situation? What would they choose? Would they choose this hamburger? Would they choose this really good salad that has some grilled chicken? I think someone that loves themselves and that will love their body will go for this, the salad with the grilled chicken. And so that's helpful for me. I'm not saying that, it just, these things work for me. Um, the same thing when I called down Archangel Raphael and I asked him, please help me make the most healthiest decisions today that are going to be towards my highest good, and that's going to promote the most healing and love and health. That's my intention for the day. And so if there's a hard decision to make, I always ask, what's the best situation here? What's the healthiest situation here that's going to be the most healing, and it's going to bring the most solutions and stuff like that. So number four in that, I said, always strive to be the best version of yourself. So to me, the best version of myself is Coyote. So I want to strive to be Coyote. That's the best version of myself. If I inspire and if I motivate someone, then I was true to my inner Coyote. So I mean, that makes me happy, and I like that. And when someone says like, "Oh my God, that was really cool. I'm really glad you said that," or "Thank you for doing this," and I say, "No, thank you for the opportunity to be able to teach and to be of service." And so that's my inner Coyote. So the other thing I put is number five: hold yourself accountable. Definitely hold yourself accountable, because no one's going to hold you accountable, so you have to do it yourself. If someone does, then that person cares for you. If someone outside or someone takes the time to hold you accountable and put you in check, that person, regardless of being a stranger, someone took the time to tell you that, what you just said maybe not be the right thing to say. I mean, it always depends on how they say it. Sometimes it could be really blunt or rude, but the message is still there. So um, for me, I have to hold myself accountable, and that is by apologizing if I did something wrong, or setting myself goals and making sure that I meet them by doing any means possible to accomplish those goals. Um, Number six that I put is surround yourself with positive people. So I posted something last night on my Facebook, on my new Facebook. Um, I posted that, I can't even remember what it said. It pretty much said, if you look at your Facebook timeline and it's not full of, and if it isn't full of inspiration, people that motivate you, that love and support you, that are constantly putting this wonderful energy. I mean, your Facebook timeline should be a Rolodex of affirmations. It should be a Rolodex of inspiration, motivation, um, a sharing of life. I mean, that's what it should be. It should be a wonderful experience. And if it's not that, and people are constantly being negative and posting terrible things about themselves or others, and then you're also interacting, then there has to be a life edit. You have to do that to yourself. It's so detrimental for your growth as a human experience, for your happiness. Um, Witness it. When I first started doing the whole mockaroo, I went back on my timeline on my first Facebook page, and I went from the first post I did, and I just kind of read them, and I was at one point I had to stop because I was just like, this person is so sad, and this person's angry. This person doesn't feel loved. I don't know who this person is. And so that for me was a big eye opener experience. And so be very mindful of the energy that you put out there and take personal responsibility, and hold yourself accountable. Number 7, which is the last thing I just wrote down, is release those that don't align with your happiness. And so this is really tough. This is a really tough. Only you could do these kind of decisions. I've released a lot of people from my life, and most of them were family. And for me, I've been. It's natural for me to release things that don't resonate with me. But when it came to family, it was a little more complicated because there's a whole thing about tribal shaming, which I'll try to find the video we did, which is the 4 quarters, and we talked about tribal shaming and shadow work with the beautiful Joanna DeVoe, and we talked about what happens during that time when you are removing yourself from family because you want to pursue your own life, you want to go to your own happiness. The same thing with friends that you've resonated in high school. In high school, I was totally unhappy. I was such a bitch. And my friends, my best friends at the time, were the worst people. And they were always negative. And the moment I moved on, I no longer interact with them. Some of them I still have on Facebook, on my old Facebooks, which is one of the reasons why I'm moving to this one. And so realizing that and being okay with just releasing that stuff is very important. You could do it 2 different ways. I find it. If you want to do that, but you don't feel really comfortable of how to do it, just start a separate Facebook page if that's the way you want to do it. And don't share it with people. Don't share with the people that you want to kind of just forget about. Start the new person. You can even choose a name that feels right to you, even if it's a magical name or something else, and just start adding the people that you really want in your life in that Facebook page. And instead of deleting the other one, just leave it. Leave it back there. People are going to wonder, hey, where have you been? I was like, I'm not really in Facebook anymore. And start that process to disconnect. You're going to be so much happier. It's going to feel like a huge release. And here's the interesting thing about auric cords. You are constantly connected energetically to people that constantly feed off your positivity, and normally these people are negative, and so they always like to pull you in and reel you in. So it's good to desensitize your hands, and you can either just do this by cutting all auric cords or removing the auric cords, calling Archangel Michael to come in to cut those cords for you. It's really awesome. It's important to detach yourself. And so the moment you detach yourself to someone that's constantly leeching from you and stuff like that, you are going to, I kid you not, you're going to receive a phone call, you're going to receive a message or a text saying like, hey, what happened? I haven't heard from you. You haven't talked to me, all this stuff. And it's because they don't get that energy that you've been feeding them anymore. They don't feel that connection, so they don't know what to do with it. They're like, what's going on? What happened? And then they call you, and then they're very forceful when they want to come into your life, and you really have to be strong and say like, no, you're not really good for me. you're not really aligning with what I want. I mean, the best thing that I always tell people is just like, I'm just like, you know what, I'm really working on making myself happy and working on getting myself to a really great place. And unfortunately, our relation isn't really promoting that for me at this time. And so I just don't feel right with continuing the relationship, or I kind of want to take a break so I could do my own thing and figure out my happiness. And the person will either decide to be like, wow, that's actually really cool, or be like, F you, forget you then, and that's fine. You probably don't need that energy anyways. So yeah, so on the ebook that I'll create, I do want to touch base on the 5 steps and really break it down even more and give you some examples and some homework assignments to do that. And so it's gonna, of course, take me a little bit. I mean, this video is already 40 minutes, so and that's just me talking briefly. So I mean, it might be lengthy, maybe it's a lot for I might even just charge for a small fee to download it for. It's probably gonna take me a lot of time. But yeah, I mean, I felt really called to talk about this today, and so I really hope that it resonated with you. Um, and if it didn't resonate with you, and then just don't take any of my truths as your truths until you test them out if you want to. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. For those who join me later, thank you. I really appreciate all your love and support. Um, you know, thank you. Big thank you for you guys. Thank you so much. I'll add the link to my new Facebook page. It's not a business page. You don't have to like it. If you want to interact with me in a more personal level, it's my Facebook page, personal. You could add me as a friend. I'll add you back. And we'll just kind of interact in that way. And so thank you guys so much. Blessed be.